Peter Walsh straightened his tie for the 100th time as he stood before the giant crystalline doors of the Galactic Council chamber. Next to him, Lisa Martinez adjusted the collar of her military dress uniform, her experienced eyes scanning every detail of their surroundings. Both of them knew that this meeting would change humanity's future forever. "Remember," Lisa whispered, "no matter what they say, we represent all of Earth." Her hand unconsciously moved to where her quantum communicator sat hidden in her pocket, their secret lifeline to Earth's Defense Command. The doors slowly opened, revealing a vast circular chamber that seemed to stretch endlessly upward. Floating platforms held representatives from over 500 alien species. At the center, elevated above all others, sat the Zexathraxians, the oldest and most powerful members of the Council. Peter took a deep breath and stepped forward. The human delegation walked to the center platform, which rose smoothly into the air until they were level with the Zexathraxian representatives. The aliens looked almost regal with their silvery skin and multiple sets of eyes that seemed to glow with ancient wisdom. High Counselor Zextal, the leader of the Zexathraxians, spoke first. His words were automatically translated by the chamber systems. "So these are the beings from the small blue world. How interesting that they've managed to achieve spaceflight with such primitive technology." Peter felt his face grow hot but maintained his diplomatic smile. "Honorable Council, we come seeking peaceful relations and mutual exchange of knowledge. Earth has much to offer the galactic community." A rumble of what seemed like laughter echoed through the chamber. Zextal's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Offer? Your species has barely mastered basic fusion drives. What could you possibly offer the Council?" Lisa stepped forward, her military training evident in every movement. "We may be young compared to many here, but humanity has made significant technological advances in multiple fields." "Yes," another counselor spoke, their voice dripping with condescension. "We've observed your attempts at faster-than-light travel. Quite amusing, really, like watching children play with toys." What the Council didn't know, what Earth had carefully hidden, was that humanity had already cracked the code of quantum teleportation. While other species focused on conventional space travel, Earth's scientists had taken a different path entirely. But that was information Peter and Lisa had been strictly ordered to keep secret. "We seek only to learn and contribute," Peter said carefully. "Earth would be honored to join the Council as a probationary member." Zextal raised one of his 4 hands. "The Council has already made its decision regarding Earth. You will not be granted membership." He paused, his eyes glowing brighter. "Instead, you will submit to Council authority. Your planet's resources will be managed by our Oversight Committee. This is non-negotiable." Lisa's hand tightened on her uniform. "With all due respect, Earth is a sovereign world. We won't submit to external control of our resources." "You misunderstand," Zextal said coldly. "This is not a request. Earth sits on valuable deposits of quantum-sensitive minerals. The Council has determined these are too important to be left in the hands of less developed species." Peter felt a chill run down his spine. These weren't the peaceful advanced beings humanity had hoped to meet. This was something else entirely, an empire disguised as a council, pirates wearing the clothes of politicians. "And if we refuse?" Peter asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then economic sanctions will be the least of your concerns," another counselor said. "The galaxy is a dangerous place for isolated worlds." Lisa stepped closer to Peter, speaking quietly in English. "They're threatening us. They have no idea what we're capable of." Peter nodded slightly. Earth had hoped for peaceful first contact, but they had prepared for other possibilities. The hidden teleportation grid, still under construction in secret locations across the solar system, might prove to be humanity's saving grace. "We will convey your terms to our government," Peter said carefully. "But I must warn you, humanity values its independence highly." "Independence." Zextal's laugh was like grinding metal. "Look around you, human. See the power gathered here. The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Your species was still living in caves when we built our first Dyson sphere. What hope do you have to resist?" Peter smiled diplomatically, but his eyes were hard. "We're quick learners, High Counselor." As they left the chamber, Lisa activated her quantum communicator, sending a coded burst transmission back to Earth. The message was simple: Protocol Omega. Council hostile. Accelerate grid. Back on their ship, Peter loosened his tie and slumped in his chair. That could have gone better. Lisa was already reviewing defense protocols on her secure tablet. Actually, it went exactly as Command feared it might. The Council is just as arrogant and controlling as our deep space probes suggested. They see us as primitives to be exploited. Their arrogance might work in our favor, Peter mused. They didn't even scan us thoroughly enough to detect our quantum tech. Because they didn't think we could possibly have anything worth detecting, Lisa agreed. Their assumptions about humanity's capabilities are based on our visible space tech. They have no idea about the grid. Peter looked out the ship's window at the massive Council station slowly rotating against the star-filled background. How long until the grid is ready? Chief Engineer Carter says they need 5 more years to complete the network. Less if we divert more resources to the project. Lisa's expression was grim. We'll need every minute of that time. When the Council realizes we won't submit quietly, they'll come for Earth. Then we'll be ready, Peter said firmly. Humanity didn't come this far to become slaves to an alien empire, no matter how ancient they claim to be. As their ship broke orbit and headed for the quantum jump point that would take them back to Earth, both Peter and Lisa knew they were leaving behind humanity's dreams of a peaceful integration into galactic society. Instead, they were heading towards something far more dangerous, but perhaps, in the end, far more important. Earth would not submit. Earth would not surrender its resources or its independence. And when the Council finally realized just how badly they had underestimated humanity's technological capabilities, it would be too late. The real work was just beginning. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, humanity's secret weapon was taking shape, one quantum transmitter at a time. The teleportation grid would change everything, if they could complete it in time. Peter looked one last time at the Council station, now just a bright point of light in the distance. "They think we're primitive now," he said quietly. "Let's hope they keep thinking that for just a little while longer." Lisa nodded, already drafting her preliminary report for Earth's Defense Command. 5 years, she said. 5 years to prepare for the fight of our lives. The ship's quantum drive hummed to life, and the stars blurred around them as they headed home to a planet that would soon be preparing for war, whether it wanted to or not. The Council had made their choice, and now humanity would make theirs. The game was on, and the stakes were nothing less than the future of Earth itself. 5 years could feel like an eternity or pass in the blink of an eye. For Chief Engineer Daniel Carter, hunched over his workstation deep within Earth's secret underground facility in the Rocky Mountains, it felt like both. Running final tests on grid node 247, Mary Sullivan's voice came through his comm system. As project director, she had been his partner in this massive undertaking since day one. Power readings are stable. Daniel rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the massive holographic display, showing the entire teleportation grid network. Thousands of points of light twinkled in the dark representation of space around Earth and its colonies. Each light represented a carefully hidden quantum transmitter, secretly placed by ships disguised as ordinary cargo vessels. "How's the satellite coverage looking?" he asked, zooming in on the outer defense perimeter. Mary's fingers flew over her control panel. "Cloaking systems are holding steady. The Council's patrol ships passed within 10 kilometers of node 185 yesterday. They didn't detect a thing. That was the beauty of their design. While the Council's technology looked for traditional energy signatures, Earth's quantum grid operated on entirely different principles. It was like they were playing chess while the Council was still playing checkers. Director Sullivan, a young technician, burst into the control room. We're picking up unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. 3 Council warships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Mary's expression hardened. Show me. The main screen shifted to show 3 massive vessels, their crystalline structures gleaming in the distant sunlight. They were Thraxian designs, the Council's elite warships. They're not even trying to hide, Daniel muttered. They want us to see them. It's a show of force, Mary agreed. They're getting impatient with our diplomatic discussions about resource rights. She opened a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. This is Project Director Sullivan. We have Council warships in the system, requesting authorization to begin final grid testing. The response came quickly. Authorization granted. But remember, under no circumstances can they detect the grid. We only get one chance to surprise them. Daniel cracked his knuckles and turned to his team. All right, people. This is what we've been preparing for. Begin power-up sequence for Section A through F. Keep everything at minimal power, just enough to test the connections. Around the solar system, hidden quantum transmitters hummed to life. Each node was capable of creating a stable quantum tunnel large enough for a warship to pass through. When fully activated, the grid would allow Earth's forces to appear anywhere within its network instantly. Node 1 through 50 responding, called out one technician. Nodes 51 through 100 online, reported another. One by one, the sections of the grid came online. Each successful connection brought them closer to having humanity's greatest defensive weapon ready. Director Sullivan, a voice called from the communication station. We're receiving a transmission from the Council ships. Mary nodded grimly. Put it through. The harsh voice of a Thraxian commander filled the control room. Attention Earth forces. You have repeatedly delayed signing the Resource Management Treaty. The Council's patience grows thin. You have 48 hours to submit your compliance, or we will be forced to take more direct action. Mary exchanged looks with Daniel before responding. This is Earth Control. We receive your message and will relay it to our government. After cutting the transmission, she turned to her team. Well, looks like our timeline just got shorter. How close are we to full operational status? Daniel pulled up the latest diagnostic reports. We've completed installation of all primary nodes. Secondary and tertiary networks are at 95% completion. The real question is whether our military forces are ready to use it. They've been training on the simulators for months, Mary reminded him. Every ship captain, every squadron leader knows exactly what to do when the grid activates. They just don't know when that will be. A quiet alarm sounded from one of the monitoring stations. Another technician spoke up. Director, we're detecting increased scanning activity from the Council ships. They're using high-powered sensor arrays to probe our defenses. Let them look, Daniel said with a slight smile. All they'll see are our conventional defense systems. The grid might as well be invisible to their technology. Mary walked to the central holographic display, studying the position of every grid node. 5 years of work, all leading to this moment. The Council thinks they're dealing with a primitive species that barely understands space travel. They have no idea that we've completely leapfrogged their technology. That's been humanity's advantage throughout history, Daniel pointed out. We don't think like other species. While they were perfecting faster-than-light drives, we were exploring quantum mechanics. While they were building bigger ships, we were figuring out how to move matter instantly across space. A message flashed across their screens, high priority from Earth Defense Command. Mary read it aloud. Intelligence suggests Council fleet gathering near Proxima Centauri. Estimated 30 capital ships. Grid must be ready for full activation within 24 hours. The control room burst into focused activity. Daniel turned to his engineering teams. Begin full power-up sequences for all nodes. Mary, coordinate with military command. We need every ship in position and ready to move the moment that the grid goes live. What about the 3 warships already in our system? Someone asked. Let them watch, Mary said firmly. Let them think they're intimidating us. The more they underestimate us, the better this will work. As the day wore on, more reports came in of council ships gathering. They were preparing for a show of force, planning to demonstrate what happened to primitive species that didn't know their place in the galaxy. In the Rocky Mountain facility, humans worked tirelessly to finish humanity's greatest achievement. The teleportation grid would change the face of warfare forever, if they could complete it in time. Final node connections verified, Daniel announced late that night. Grid is at 100% operational capacity. Mary looked at the beautiful network displayed before them, each point of light representing humanity's determination to remain free. Send word to command. The grid is ready. She turned to look at her team, seeing the mixture of exhaustion and determination on their faces. Whatever happens next, remember this moment. The council thinks they're coming to put us in our place. Instead, they're about to learn that humanity's place is anywhere we choose to be. Daniel nodded, his hand hovering over the master control panel. The next time these controls activate, it won't be for a test. It will be for real. And the council won't know what hit them, Mary added softly. Outside, the 3 council warships continued their intimidating patrol, completely unaware that they were swimming in an ocean of quantum transmitters. Humanity's secret weapon was ready. All that remained was to wait for the council to make their move. The silent preparation was complete. The next phase would be anything but silent. The attack began at dawn, Earth Standard Time. Fleet Commander Andrew Blake stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the massive council fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. The enemy ships looked like crystalline arrowheads, their surfaces gleaming with deadly energy weapons. 57 council warships detected, his sensor officer reported. Most of them are Zix-Athraxian heavy cruisers. Andrew nodded calmly. Send word to Ground Forces leader Susan Cooper. Tell her to begin the evacuation protocol. Make it look good. On the colonies of Mars and Europa, civilians rushed to their shelters in what appeared to be panic. Supply ships lifted off, seemingly fleeing from the approaching council fleet. To any observer, it looked like humanity was scrambling in fear. The Zix-Athraxian fleet moved forward with absolute confidence. Their commander's voice boomed across all communication channels. Primitive humans, you were warned. Your defiance ends today. Surrender your colonies and submit to council authority, or we will take them by force. Susan Cooper, watching from her command center beneath the Martian surface, allowed herself a small smile. Send the response we prepared, she ordered her communications officer. The message was brief. Please, we need time to evacuate our civilians. We beg for mercy. The council fleet pressed forward, their weapons charging. They had no intention of showing mercy. This was meant to be a display of power, a lesson to any other young species that might think of defying the council's will. Enemy ships entering optimal firing range, Andrew's tactical officer reported. Let them fire first, Andrew ordered. Let them think they have us completely outmatched. The first shots from the council fleet lit up space like new stars being born. Their energy weapons lanced out, striking the small defensive platforms humanity had placed around their colonies. The platforms exploded spectacularly. Sir, the sensor officer called out. They're launching dropships toward Mars and Europa. Ground invasion forces. Andrew opened a secure channel to Susan. They're taking the bait. How are your people holding up? Ready and waiting, Susan replied. My forces are all in position. Hidden bunkers are sealed. As far as their scans can tell, we're running away in terror. The council dropships entered the atmospheres of both colonies. On their sensors, they could see human forces retreating, abandoning defensive positions, falling back in apparent disarray. High above, the Zix-Athraxian commander watched with satisfaction as his fleet pushed forward, systematically destroying Earth's outer defense systems. Pathetic, he broadcast. All your brave words about independence, and you crumble at the first sign of real power. Andrew let them advance further into the solar system. Let them think their victory was assured. Everything depended on the council forces committing fully to their attack. Sir, His communications officer spoke up. Message from Earth Defense Command. The grid is hot. They're waiting for your signal. Andrew watched as more council ships arrived through conventional faster-than-light travel. They were putting on a show of force, bringing in far more ships than needed to subdue a primitive species. How many enemy ships are now within the grid's network? He asked quietly. 84 vessels, sir. They've spread out to cover all our colonies. Their formation is exactly where we wanted them. On Mars, Susan watched through underground cameras as Council ground forces began landing. The alien troops moved with casual arrogance, clearly expecting no real resistance. All human forces maintain position, she broadcast on their secure channel. Let them think they've won. Let them think we're beaten. The Thraxian commander's voice came again. Your colonies are now under Council control. Your pathetic attempts at resistance are over. We will now begin landing troops on Earth itself. Submit, and we may show mercy. Andrew exchanged looks with his bridge crew. The moment had come. Send the signal to all human forces. Operation Reversal begins in 5 minutes. Activate your quantum beacons. Throughout the solar system, hidden human ships powered up their special equipment. Each vessel was equipped with devices that would allow them to interface with the teleportation grid. Each crew had trained countless hours for this moment. Sir, his tactical officer reported, Council forces are beginning their approach to Earth. They're moving their fleet into attack formation. Andrew took a deep breath. Send the final message to the Council fleet. Let's give them one last chance to avoid what's coming. The message was transmitted. Thraxian forces, this is your final warning. Withdraw from Earth space immediately. The response was predictable. Laughter echoed through the communication channels. The Thraxian commander's voice dripped with contempt. You dare to threaten us? Your species is finished. The Council's dominion over your world begins now. Andrew nodded grimly. Then they've made their choice. He opened the secure channel to all human forces. All ships, all ground forces, prepare for grid activation. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Humanity will not submit. On Mars, Susan Cooper gave final instructions to her hidden troops. The moment the grid activates, hit them from all sides. Don't let them regroup. In space, Andrew's finger hovered over the command console. The Council fleet was now perfectly positioned, spread out across the solar system, their forces divided to control multiple targets at once. They had no idea they were actually surrounding themselves. All forces, this is Fleet Commander Blake. He broadcast on the secure quantum channel. Operation Reversal begins now. For Earth. He pressed the button, sending the activation signal to Earth Defense Command. Throughout the solar system, the hidden quantum transmitters of the teleportation grid hummed to life. The trap was sprung. The real battle was about to begin. The Council's worst fear, though they didn't know it yet, was about to come true. They had walked right into humanity's web, and now they would learn what it meant to underestimate Earth's determination to remain free. As Andrew watched his tactical display light up with activation signals, he allowed himself a small smile. Let's show them what a primitive species can do. The grid powered up, and the entire solar system held its breath for what would come next. The moment of truth had arrived. Operation Director Kevin Hayes stood in Earth's Central Command Center, his hand steady on the master control panel. Around him, dozens of technicians monitored the thousands of quantum transmitters that made up the teleportation grid. All nodes are active. Technical specialist Laura Mitchell reported from her station. Grid power levels at maximum. Ready for mass transportation on your mark. Kevin opened the global command channel. All forces, prepare for grid jump in 10 seconds. Remember your targets. Hit them hard, hit them fast. The Thraxian fleet had no idea what was about to happen. Their ships were spread across the solar system, preparing for what they thought would be an easy conquest of Earth's colonies. 5 seconds, Kevin announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. Laura pressed the activation sequence. Across the solar system, hundreds of hidden human warships vanished in flashes of blue light. At the same time, quantum tunnels opened throughout space, depositing Earth's forces directly behind the enemy fleet. By the stars, a council officer's startled cry came through their monitoring channels. Where did they come from? The Zixexthraxian commander's voice crackled with confusion. Impossible. They're behind us. How did they get behind us? On Mars, Susan Cooper's ground forces suddenly appeared in the middle of the Council's landing zones. The alien troops found themselves surrounded by humans who seemed to materialize from thin air. All ground units, engage. Susan ordered. Don't let them regroup. In space, Andrew Blake's fleet emerged from quantum tunnels directly above the Council's flagship. Fire at will, he commanded. Show them what Earth can do. The Council fleet tried to turn and face the sudden threat, but they were too slow. Human ships appeared and disappeared across the battlefield, striking from impossible angles, vanishing before the enemy could return fire. Grid functioning at 98% efficiency, Laura reported, her fingers dancing across her control panel. All quantum tunnels are stable. Transportation network is holding strong. Kevin watched the tactical display as hundreds of blue dots representing human ships jumped from position to position. The Council's red markers were turning in confusion, trying to track enemies that refused to stay in one place. They're falling into chaos, one of the tactical officers reported with a grin. Their formation is breaking apart. On the Council flagship, the Zixethraxian commander was shouting orders. How are they doing this? Find their transportation technology. Jam their systems. But they couldn't jam what they couldn't understand. The Council's sensors were designed to detect conventional faster-than-light travel. Earth's quantum tunnels operated on completely different principles. Multiple Council ships reporting heavy damage, Laura announced. Their shields aren't designed to handle attacks from so many directions at once. Kevin nodded in satisfaction. Send in the second wave. Target their command and control systems. More human ships appeared through the grid, striking at the heart of the Council fleet. On Mars and Europa, Susan's forces were systematically dismantling the invasion forces that had so confidently landed just minutes before. Sir, Laura called out. 3 Council ships are attempting to flee. They're charging their faster-than-light drives. Not today, Kevin said firmly. He activated a special sequence in the grid controls. Quantum tunnels opened around the fleeing ships, and human vessels appeared on all sides, weapons ready. Surrender or be destroyed. Andrew's voice rang out across all channels. You've seen what we can do. Make your choice. The Council ships powered down their drives. One by one, alien vessels across the solar system began broadcasting surrender signals. On Mars, Susan's troops had cornered the last of the ground forces. The alien soldiers threw down their weapons, unable to comprehend how they had lost so quickly. All targets secured, Laura reported. Grid is maintaining stability. We have complete control of the battlefield. Kevin allowed himself to relax slightly. Send word to Earth Defense Command. The solar system is ours. On the main communication screen, the Zixethraxian commander's face appeared. His multiple eyes were wide with disbelief. How? How did primitives like you create such technology? Primitive, Kevin replied calmly. While you were building bigger ships, we were thinking differently. While you were perfecting faster-than-light drives, we found another way to move through space. You never saw it coming because you were too busy looking down on us. Reports were coming in from across the solar system. The battle had lasted less than 30 minutes. The mighty Council fleet lay in ruins, their ground forces captured, their invasion completely defeated. Grid status, Kevin asked. Laura smiled as she checked her readings. All systems nominal. The network is intact and fully operational. We could do this all again tomorrow if we needed to. In his command ship, Andrew Blake surveyed the battlefield. Council ships floated dead in space or had surrendered. Human vessels held position at strategic points throughout the system, ready to jump through the grid at a moment's notice if needed. "Send word to the Council," Kevin ordered. "Tell them if they want their soldiers back, they'll need to open diplomatic channels. Real diplomatic channels this time." Susan's voice came through from Mars. "All invasion forces have surrendered. We're securing their weapons and ships. They still can't believe what happened." Kevin looked at the tactical display, showing their complete victory. "They thought they were coming to put us in our place," he said quietly. "Instead, they learned that humanity's place is wherever we choose to make it." Laura was already receiving messages from Earth Defense Command. "Sir, they want us to maintain the grid at full power. Intelligence suggests the Council might try to send a second fleet." "Let them come," Kevin said confidently. "The grid is ready. And now, they know what we can do." Throughout the solar system, human forces began the process of securing their victory. Captured Council ships were boarded and their crews detained. On Mars and Europa, alien soldiers were being processed as prisoners of war. The mighty teleportation grid hummed quietly in the background, its quantum transmitters hidden but ready. Earth's greatest weapon had proven itself beyond all expectations. The Council had come expecting to find a primitive species ready to be conquered. Instead, they had found humanity at its finest, innovative, determined, and unwilling to submit. As Kevin looked at the faces of his team in the command center, he saw pride and satisfaction. They had done the impossible. They had taken humanity's greatest technological leap and turned it into a shield for Earth's freedom. The grid had awakened, and with it, a new chapter in human history had begun. Fleet Admiral Christopher Ward stood before the same crystalline doors where Earth's first contact team had stood 5 years ago. This time, things were very different. Behind him, Security Chief Patricia Martinez kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, her hand near the grid beacon that could instantly transport them back to safety if needed. "Ready?" Christopher asked quietly. Patricia nodded. "The grid is active. We have ships waiting in quantum tunnels all around this station. If they try anything, we can have 100 warships here in seconds." The doors opened, revealing the familiar circular chamber. But the mood was no longer one of arrogant superiority. The Council members sat in silence, their earlier confidence replaced by careful wariness. High Counselor Zextal spoke first, his voice lacking its former condescension. "Fleet Admiral Ward, Security Chief Martinez, the Council recognizes Earth's representatives." Christopher stepped forward, his voice strong and clear. "Let's be honest with each other this time. The Council faces a choice. Adapt to a new reality or face the consequences." Murmurs ran through the assembled aliens. One Council member stood up. "You dare threaten us? The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. And in all that time," Patricia cut in, "did you ever wonder what you might be missing? Did you ever think that maybe looking down on primitive species was a mistake?" Christopher pulled up a holographic display showing the battle in Earth's solar system. The Council members watched in silence as the recording showed their mighty fleet being systematically dismantled by ships that appeared and disappeared at will. "Your fleet admiral has already explained your quantum tunnel technology to us," Zextal said carefully. "Most impressive." "That was just the beginning," Christopher replied. "While you were busy building bigger ships and stronger weapons, humanity took a different path. We looked at space itself differently, and now we offer you a choice." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Earth can be your greatest enemy or a valuable ally. The choice is yours." Another Council member spoke up. "What are your terms?" Patricia stepped forward, activating another holographic display. "First, Earth will be recognized as a full member of the Council, with all rights and privileges. Second, all threats and demands regarding Earth's resources are permanently withdrawn. Third," Christopher continued, "the Council will acknowledge Earth's right to maintain and develop its defensive technologies, including the grid. Fourth, we want access to all Council scientific and cultural databases. It's time for a true exchange of knowledge. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some council members argued loudly, while others sat in thoughtful silence. "And if we refuse?" Zextal asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Christopher's voice was calm but firm. "Then we expand the grid. Every human colony, every human ship will have the ability to appear anywhere, anytime. You've seen what we can do in one solar system. Imagine that capability spread across the galaxy." Patricia brought up another display, showing the grid's potential expansion plans. "We don't want war. We never did. We just want to be treated as equals." "The Council needs time to discuss this," Zextal said. "You have 1 hour," Christopher replied. "We've learned not to give the Council too much time to plan. Our ships remain ready." As the Council members debated among themselves, Patricia received updates from Earth. "Grid expansion is proceeding on schedule," she whispered to Christopher. "Even if they say no, we're ready." The hour passed quickly. When the Council reconvened, Zextal spoke for all of them. "The Council accepts Earth's terms. We will draft new treaties immediately." Christopher nodded. "Good choice. Now let's talk about the future. Earth has much to offer if you're willing to listen." Over the next few hours, the details were worked out. Earth would join the Council as a full member. Human scientists would work with alien researchers to explore new possibilities in quantum physics. The grid would remain under Earth's control but could be used to help defend Council worlds if needed. "There's one more thing," Patricia added near the end of negotiations. "We want the Council to change how it treats new spacefaring species. No more looking down on primitives. No more demands and threats." "You want us to change 10,000 years of tradition?" a Council member asked incredulously. "We want you to learn from your mistakes," Christopher corrected. "Look what happened when you underestimated humanity. How many other species might surprise you if given the chance?" As they left the Council chamber hours later, Patricia smiled. "They're still in shock. They can't quite believe how quickly everything changed." "That's the human way," Christopher replied. "We adapt. We innovate. And now we have a chance to help the galaxy do the same." Back on their ship, they received word from Earth. The President's message was brief. "Well done. The future begins today." Christopher looked out at the stars, thinking about how much had changed in just 5 years. Humanity had gone from being seen as primitives to becoming one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. "What do you think they fear more?" Patricia asked. "The grid itself, or the fact that we thought of it when they didn't?" "Both," Christopher answered. "We showed them that their way isn't the only way. That's always scary for people who think they have all the answers." Their ship prepared to return to Earth through a quantum tunnel. Behind them, the Council station buzzed with activity as the news spread throughout the galaxy. The mighty Council had been forced to change by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "Send word to all grid stations," Christopher ordered. "Maintain normal operations but stand down from combat alert. The war is over before it really began." Patricia nodded, then asked, "Do you think they'll keep their word?" "They will," Christopher said confidently, "because they know we can enforce it. Sometimes the best way to keep peace is to be ready for war." As their ship disappeared into a quantum tunnel, both of them knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through brute force or ancient technology, but through innovation and determination. The Council's worst fear had come true, but in doing so, it had opened the door to a better future for everyone. The age of looking down on primitive species was over. The age of true cooperation and mutual respect was about to begin. In the vast darkness of space, the grid continued its silent operation, a testament to human ingenuity and a reminder that sometimes the best solutions come from thinking differently. The stars themselves seemed a little brighter as humanity began its new role in the galaxy, not as conquerors, not as subjects, but as equals who had earned their place through courage, innovation, and the unwavering desire to remain free.